Joining me now is Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council, Dr. Ariel Cohen. Doctor, thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
All right, this list that we're hearing about that was reportedly released by ISIS or a hacking group affiliated with ISIS. This hacking group is called the United Cyber Caliphate. Doctor, who are they?
They are sympathizers and participants in the terrorist activities of the Islamic State, of ISIS. And I take it seriously on two levels. Number one, anybody who has their name on the list published by the worst terrorist organization in the world may get afraid. And they are in the business of terror. They're in the business of intimidation. So their purpose in this is to get people scared. But secondly, they have shown already that they're learning fast. They're recruiting young people, including converts to Islam in Europe and in America, and including young people throughout the Middle East and the Muslim world. So among tens of thousands of their recruits, there may be several who have good hacking skills and who are the cyber caliphate.
Right, so these hackers might not be official operatives, meaning official full-time employees or paid employees of ISIS, but they're similar to what a homegrown terrorist would be, someone who attacked in San Bernardino or attacked in Paris, meaning that they're, if not sympathetic to the terror organization, they work for them. They're an operative in that manner, in an independent manner. But how do we determine if this list is legitimate? Because I think you make a good point. It's horrifying. It's scary to have your name on that sort of list, on an ISIS hit list. But how do we know if they're using it as a fear tactic or if they're actually going to target these individuals?
Well, thank goodness we have probably the best cyber capability in the world in this country. So there are people who are paid to figure this out, who are paid to hack their computers. And I would say we need to shut down their computer. The only reason to allow them to have a computer network is so that we can follow them and figure out where they're getting their money from, who are they recruiting, how are they managing their affairs, to the extent they do. Because a lot of times these terrorist organizations just send a young boy or an old man with a message on a piece of paper or memorized message. Sometimes they're so paranoid they would not even trust an email or an encrypted message, and they just trust individuals walking around. And sometimes it takes a long time, but you cannot hack an individual.
Right, and not in the computerized way, at least. All right, Doctor, let me switch topics on you. I want to ask you about your recent trip to Russia. You were there around the time that Russia boycotted President Obama's nuclear summit here in the United States in Washington, D.C. First of all, why would Russia not attend a group of so many countries around the world talking about such a critical issue like nuclear weapons?
The Obama summit was his third nuclear summit. He wants to leave a legacy of non-proliferation. Of course, it's not working very well because we see both North Korea developing missiles and nuclear weapons, and we have Iran still developing means to deliver nuclear weapons, even if they slow down their nuclear weapons development itself. But in terms of missile development, the Iranians are still full steam ahead. So the Russians wanted to stick it to Barack Obama. They did not want to show up to be party poopers, and they were. Russia, after all, is the second most powerful nuclear weapons country in the world. It has a tradition of nuclear weapon development that goes back into 1940s, when the Soviets stole American nuclear secrets from this country. So they have a massive arsenal of nuclear warheads, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and the fact that they did not show up means that the reset policy that Barack Obama declared back in 2009 was a failure.
Right, so you use the term party poopers here. I would use the term spoiled brats. They would rather, if I'm understanding you correctly, they would rather miss out on the intelligence, miss out on the discussions, miss out on everything that's happening in the nuclear summit, almost abandoning their position as the supposed number two power just to make a power move against Barack Obama?
Absolutely. And this just tells you how poorly we're managing our relations with Russia. Just today, Moscow announced that they're putting 3 army divisions, 30,000 people in Eastern Europe in response to the United States putting 1 brigade. 1 brigade is what? 4,000 people that we're putting in Eastern Europe to reassure our NATO allies in the Baltic states, Poland, Czech Republic, etc. So the Russians are in a threatening position, threatening posture, but they also made noises that they like Donald Trump. So my hope is, because I want a better relationship with Russia, I want Russia to calm down. I would like the relationship to improve. And of course, knowing the ill will between Putin and Hillary Clinton, I'm afraid that if Hillary is elected, we may be up for a lot of friction with Russia.
Right, because we already know that Russia and Putin are pushing the envelope right now these last few months of Barack Obama's presidency because they know he won't react. I still don't quite understand, though, if they're struggling economically, if they're actually in decline, which every report, every indication corroborates that, why are they making these power moves, these desperations? Because if they did push it to the edge, if they did push it to the point of the United States responding to them, they wouldn't even be able to handle it. Well, when you have 2 nuclear superpowers, nobody is able to handle it if there is a massive nuclear exchange. Hopefully, we will not live to see that. But I'll tell you one thing. Being in Moscow, talking to senior people there, it's very clear to me that it's all about regime survival. The mindset of top people in Moscow is a mindset of the Cold War, and it happens to help them to stay in power because democratic elections were out of the window, economic successes when the oil prices were high that Putin could bring to the people and say, you're living so much better than before. That is out of the window with oil prices plummeting. So what is left? What is left is a notion that everybody is against Russia, that Russia is surrounded, that it's fighting on all fronts against evil Americans or Ukrainians or Muslims or somebody else. So it is what I called in my article in the New York Times back in 2011, I think, Fortress Russia. So the siege mentality of Russia keeps Vladimir Putin in power. Right, it's 90% bluff and then 10% that nuclear card up their sleeve, which makes us have to take these moves seriously. Doctor, I appreciate your insight on this topic. Thanks for coming on the show. After the break, Hillary Clinton is tossing out promises, not bothering about her blatant contradictions or her pandering. Jonathan Harris is with me next.